Fun fact. Female kangaroos have 3 vaginas.
I didn't know.
What do they use them for? All right, welcome to the Deadbeat Sports Podcast. My name's Adam Henry. We got Austin Johnson, Tyler Doyle, Brendan Wilson. We are Sans, Hugh Wachenko, Taylor Dewick, and Lucas Schultz.
Did you say
what'd you say?
Sans?
Sans.
Yes, Sans.
Like the French words.
Yeah, okay, we get it, yeah.
Podcast.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not. So I'm a
Sans
lot
means
confused.
without
The last 3 guys I said are not here.
Okay.
First things first, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We're not on Instagram.
That was a lie.
Facebook, Twitter,
SoundCloud.
we have a SoundCloud, and we have a YouTube.
Subscribe and like
Subscribe
on
and
YouTube.
That would be great, because that's
At Deadbeat Sports, right?
at
Deadbeat
Deadbeat
Sports,
Sports, correct,
yeah.
yes. So we're starting off today. First thing we were going to talk about, yesterday was in the news, Goose Gossage, former reliever pitcher for the New York Yankees, Hall of Fame pitcher.
Racist.
For the Yankees. He went off yesterday. He told ESPN, I quote, this is a direct quote from ESPN, that Goose Gossage said, Jose Bautista is a f***ing disgrace to the game. He's embarrassing to all the Latin players who ever played before him, throwing his bat and acting like a fool like all those guys in Toronto. Now, the topic, and this is what we're going to talk about today, is why he was so mad about that bat flip and saying that his etiquette and it was completely off. Like, it's just not okay. When he played, that wasn't a thing. He said he was putting it in the other team's face, rubbing it in the face, and just being disrespectful to the game and to his opponents. Now, as far as sportsmanship, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. Austin, what was your opinion on Jose Bautista and the way he acted last year in the playoffs?
Well, I feel like everyone besides him really enjoyed it. I mean, he's not the first one to do a bat flip.
Yeah.
He's
no,
not.
Definitely not.
Like, that's been happening for a while now. Like, he knew he had a home run. He's excited and he flips his bat.
He just took it to a whole new level by.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, like, the bat flip was cool. It wasn't like you threw it high in the air.
Yeah.
It didn't even go that
It
high.
was pretty high.
Okay, but yeah,
It was a pretty
he hit it
epic
and he just like
bat
flipped
flip.
It
his
was
bat.
a little ridiculous.
But now,
What's a
can you
bat
blame the
flip?
guy? Now, I would, if
Come on.
every time you hit a home run, you're flipping your bat, that's one thing. But if just the situation in
That
the
moment that he
emotion
was in,
in that building
Yeah.
at that point in time, we all saw what happened, all the errors and everything that had happened beforehand, just what he did, that the whole place going crazy. Can you really blame him for getting lost in the moment? Like, I don't.
I'm not a huge guy of like over celebrating, but I actually had no issue with that whatsoever. I thought it was very organic, and I thought it was just purely in the moment. I mean, like, some people can find that disrespectful and whatnot, and I understand why the pitcher would be upset about it, but don't throw a bad pitch and let him hit a home run in that situation. It's a playoff game. Everyone in the entire stadium was super pissed off for good reason, and then they have this opportunity to get right back in the game, and
It was tied at that moment, wasn't it?
I don't remember the score, but all I know is that it went from complete anarchy in that building
Yeah.
to him hitting that home run. It was just absolute elation. Like, everyone was going absolutely crazy. He woke up, the whole country was going absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Gossage was trying to say that what he did is bad for the game of baseball. He said it's showing kids the wrong image, and
I think
you know what he said, because he saw kids throwing bats after that and like stuff like that. So what? Their kids are having fun. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No.
I don't think it's bad for the game. I think you'd be insane to argue that what Jose Bautista did last year in the playoffs was bad for the game of baseball in Canada. I mean, it woke everybody up. Like myself, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but that got me. I think it was good for the game. Like, I don't know, Tyler, you want one thing to add on that?
Like, how old is Gossage? When did he get?
He was playing in the 70s.
Yeah,
He's in his 70s now. He's
in
an
his
old
70s, maybe 80s, and so he's a pretty old guy.
Yeah.
And you meet your grandpa and you bring up the wrong topic, and you know you're gonna go down a trail that you just had no idea you were gonna go
All
down.
these kids
And so,
today.
yeah.
Well, and
Like-
he was on Tim and Sid yesterday, and I think it was Tim says to him, Goose, you think maybe the game's passing you by a little bit? And he kind of got pissed off to kind of his response. But he's right. The game obviously is going past this guy. He played 30 years ago, 35 years ago.
For him to say like it hurts the game, that how they originally played it is actually hurting the game, because what we consider millennials, ourselves included, we're not interested in baseball right now. Like,
No, we're not.
Down in the States, like, baseball is dropping, like, participation in baseball is dropping crazy.
Yeah.
And to have that excitement is so key for baseball, because I included have a terrible attention span. I don't want to sit around a baseball game for
baseball games
4
are long.
hours.
Like I want there to be some entertainment.
Like,
and maybe that's because we're not the old school baseball fan
Exactly.
that has the roots of how baseball became what it was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, that's not us, and that's not our generation. I think that's what's happening, and I think
and
Goose
sports,
Gossage could not come to terms with the fact that it's
sports
not the
have
way.
to change to keep up with the times. And
And that's the thing. Everything changes.
baseball was America's sport. Now football is. It's way more exciting. It has way more following now, and the MLB's never going to get that back unless football is going to be completely taken away from us because of all the concussion scare.
Getting a little off topic here with going into concussions now, but getting back to the argument of whether or not what he did was unsportsmanlike and if sportsmanship is losing its touch in sports. Brandon, this is the sport that hits you home in the sport of curling this week. The Brier obviously going on right now. Brad Jacobs, Northern Ontario, a clean sweep of the round robin, 11-0. But Brendan, you've said before that you're not necessarily a fan of the way that they carry themselves on the ice and that it's something that irks you a little bit.
Yes, I am. I'm going to kind of contradict myself in the sense of talking about baseball and how I think it's good for the game. I can understand why people find it exciting that they are very intense on the ice and they celebrate all the time. But at a certain point, it does become a little bit disrespectful. Because curling, it's really quite a calm sport.
Yeah.
Curling is very much considered a gentleman's game, kind of like tennis. Like you're supposed to respect your opponent, or golf.
Yeah, golf, yeah.
You're supposed to respect your opponent, and when you are yelling and screaming and celebrating with your team and fist pumping before you even acknowledge the team that you just beat or whatever it may be, and being overzealous on everything that you do, even though it's just a simple draw, it becomes, for me, really annoying to watch and disrespectful to the other team. And you see, like, for example, Mike McEwen's team, like, when they make an incredible shot, yeah, they get super excited, but right after that, they bring it back down, and then they're nice and quiet, and they just get back into the game. And I guess for Jacobs, it really does get them going, and it makes them play better, and you can see it. But I think there's a certain point where you can be intense, but still be respectful to your
think
opponents.
that they're crossing the line.
Yeah, and it's pretty new to curling. Everybody loved it at first when they first came around, but as far as I can tell,
Getting a little old.
yeah, everybody in the curling community seems to be a little bit frustrated with, and they're not the only ones. Like lots of teams do that, but they're by far the most prominent teams that do that.
Yeah.
Well, and so obviously it frustrates you a little bit, Brendan, and you've played curling at a pretty grand stage, so you have more of an idea than myself or Austin or Tyler would because we've never played the game. But I know, Tyler, you were saying you enjoy watching Jacobs. You think it brings an intensity to the game.
I'd like seeing them get fired up. You know, it just brings a whole nother level of competition for everybody that's playing. And I mean, when you go into how they might get a little too overexcited, I mean, if you're it could be an intimidation thing too, right? Like
Yeah,
if there's
good
these
point.
4 absolutely gigantic jack guys throwing fist pumps and screaming in your face, you know, you're gonna say like, "Holy."
Yeah, and you know what? He does bring the best out of every team that he plays, and every time he plays, there is like even just watching, there's a different intensity in the game. You see that, but I agree with both of you.
Yeah.
It's where do you draw the line? I guess is the question.
I honestly, I don't think there's a intimidation factor in that sense in curling though. Like there's the intimidation factor is knowing that the other team can make absolutely anything, which they can do. But that's the intimidation factor comes from them being able to make the shots, not
walking
from,
the walk, not
it's
talking
not
the
from
talk or whatever
them
they say. Yeah,
being able to scream and yell and fist pump as loud as possible. If I was playing them, like yes, obviously they are Olympic champions, so I'd be intimidated by that. But it's not the fact that they can scream at the top of the lungs on making a draw to the forefoot that you're supposed to be able to make. Really,
yeah,
that's true. But I mean, and you go into what you're saying, how ungentlemanlike is the best way to put it, I guess. And then, like, if you're a traditionalist like you are and you like the gentleman's game of curling, it could piss you off quite a bit that these guys are being a bunch of idiots, making a joke of everything, and then you just say, you know,
I wouldn't say it's a joke. I just think
but
they
like,
need to respect the game a little bit more.
And that could piss you off and just say, I want to beat these guys so bad because they're making a mockery.
Yeah,
of,
that's true.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because we make this argument, and we're going to get into hockey here, and we all agreed that Goose Gossage was kind of over the line.
Yeah.
But then when it's a sport that hits home, it kind of changes your opinion.
Yeah.
And you can start to get where he's coming from. Because in hockey, like, there's definitely always been, and Don Cherry's brought it up many times on Coach's Corner, like, how much is too much and what's the right way to go about it. He says, like, he wants to see a true professional. Like, there's guys in the league, like Corey Perry, for example. He scores a goal. Yeah, he does a little fist bump, but he's not jumping in the glass, doing anything crazy. Like,
Who was that directed to, Adam? Jumping in the glass.
What? But all I'm saying is there's a fine line. You score a big goal in a big game, and there's thousands of people screaming and cheering for you. It's almost impossible not to get emotional. But then, how much is too much? Like, me and Austin, I'll send this one over to you. Like, what do you think is too much, or where do you think you draw the line when it comes to that?
Well, jumping into the glass is not I enjoy that. Brendan, I know what you said. Ovechkin, scoring 50 goals and like pretending his stick's on fire, maybe that's a bit too much. Or I think
It's tough because I mean, some guys, and they interviewed a lot of guys around the league after Ovechkin did that because there was people that were pissed off and people that weren't. And I kind of agree with the argument some guys are saying, like, you know what, Alex Ovechkin scored 50 goals in a season 7 times. Like, who gives a what he does after he scores a goal? He's earned that. He scores so many, like, he's earned he's having a little bit of fun. It's not like he's skating by the other team's bench and like face washing every guy that skates by. He's not necessarily rubbing it in their face.
What was that in the World Juniors where the guy scored and like how he like rode his stick, but like he rode his stick past the opposing team's bench and past his bench to high five.
That's extremely disrespectful.
That's
I know
extreme.
that is like that's too far. Like
also,
taunting, like that's going too far.
Yeah, but at the same time, he did that. If you see the clip, he does that, and then his teammate comes to celebrate with him, but he still continues to do it. And hockey is such a team sport. He's not scoring 50 goals without those teammates. So I feel like every time, like, I'm obviously not a professional hockey player, I was a goalie for a matter of fact. But if I was in the NHL and I scored, I would be celebrating with my teammates every single time because they're as much as a reason that I'm scoring as I am. And yes, he's extremely talented, and I understand celebrating, but if it was me, that's just with my personality, I would share with my teammates rather than
You're talking about Ovechkin, right?
Well,
like
a little bit individual. And for players like, and I think Ovechkin gets a little bit of slack just because he's an older player now, and he scored a bunch of goals, but rookie players that do that.
You have to earn
you have to earn the respect of everybody.
You can't jump into the league and just be a showboating asshole when you're 18 years old and you've not proven yourself.
What about Yakupov when he scored the goal and slid to center ice? I really enjoyed that.
First goal, wasn't it?
No, it was not his first goal.
Okay,
but he scored.
What Yakupov did, I think, was
ridiculous.
You know what? It was just like
it's LA. I was watching that game and they're dominating for the last 5 minutes of the game. It's just they scored with 6 seconds left or something. Like, it's a sick goal. But instead of, hugging his teammates, he's a rookie.
He's like, it's all about me. Look at me. I'm amazing.
He slides on his knees from blue line to blue line, and then when his teammates come to congratulate him, he curls up in a ball.
It was just the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
To me, that's just...
That's disrespectful in a whole new sense, because you're disrespecting your teammates.
And this kind of takes me into the next thing I want to say about this, is that it seems that it's actually becoming somewhat selective. Like, there's certain guys that can get away with it, and it's okay. Like we said, Ovechkin kind of has a little bit of leeway. And there's certain guys, an example I want to use is Teemu Selanne. Everybody loves Teemu Selanne. He's a great guy. He's an amazing guy in Winnipeg. He's an absolute hero. When he scored the record-breaking goal when he was a rookie, and everybody's seen it a million times, they show it all the time, him throwing his glove up in the air and shooting it and everything, he did that, and it was cool, and no one said any problems, and great, because I love Teemu Selanne. But do you think if there's definitely some other players out there that if that was their reaction, they'd be disrespectful? Like, people would not like that.
Yeah. I don't think that will ever be repeated, because I obviously we weren't old enough to remember that moment in time, but I feel like just watching it, I think that's just, again, completely organic. A guy that's just broken a record that I don't think will ever be broken, and like, for him to do that,
it was super cool.
It was so cool. And I know, like, going to the ODR, people try to do that all the time, and it's hard to replicate, actually.
For those people that aren't too savvy with the terms ODRs, outdoor rink, and referring to the outdoor hockey rinks,
we're just
a slang term. Like Canadian, if this ever gets to America, they're never going to understand ODR.
Oh, we probably have tons of fans in America already.
So if it's a completely organic moment, to a certain extent, it's okay. And like, breaking a big record like that is something really cool, and I can understand it. If I wasn't a fan of Timu Solani, I might be a little bit not okay with it. But again, Timu has shown in real life and in his personal life that he seems to be a really good guy. And I think that's when you can kind of get away with it too. If you're a completely cocky asshole all the time, you're not going to get away with that. For a guy that's super nice all the time and just genuinely happy for his teammates all the time, for him to do that, I still think it's okay. And then he actually doesn't celebrate with
Yeah,
his
that's true. But this was also, almost
2 decades ago.
Maybe not necessarily people get some slack, or maybe it's just the times are changing. Like you don't
Things
see.
are
I mean,
different.
back in the
Yeah,
day,
times different.
back in the day, you see celebrations like that, like a pretty courageous celebrations, and no one really talks about how it's disrespectful.
But now it's
But
changing.
now, if they do it,
Well,
it's
we
disrespectful.
don't know that for sure because again, we weren't
around.
We weren't
That's
really
true.
around for that
That's
time.
true.
It
That's true.
could've
But there's a
been
reason
huge-
they show all those old celebrations on TV, but they
the old
never show
celebrations are
Yakupov
not
on TV,
as
right?
not as crazy as they're now. That's probably the most crazy celebration you'll ever see in the NHL. But
There's some pretty crazy ones.
that he threw his glove like 20 feet.
Okay,
in the air.
yeah.
Like, that's
It was
the.
pretty awesome.
Okay, yeah, no, it was awesome, but there was
And
some
I
pretty
think that's
intense
such
back
a
in the
unique
day.
moment. Like
It is.
I
yeah,
think
that's
it's.
true.
I don't think we'll ever
There
be
is
bashed.
almost a double standard for it.
Yeah,
There is a
totally,
double
totally a double.
Totally.
But
It's like-
I want to kind of sorry, cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Continue.
So rude.
I want to go into golf a little bit. Just Tiger Woods.
Oh.
You see, he's, in my mind, he's the greatest golfer of all time. You can talk about his major records, how he hasn't
Yeah.
beat Nicklaus or whatever.
Revolutionized the game. Like
He totally changed golf.
Yeah.
And he was the first guy, like Brad Jacobs' team in curling, with that intensity and
Yeah.
the focus and the drive. And he made everyone else.
Changed the game for
Changed
better.
it, yeah.
Like, you're definitely right about that.
And
You can't argue
like,
that.
And he was throwing, when you watch old highlights of him winning tournaments and dropping putts at the Masters, whatever.
It was awesome.
When he made that chip in and he's double fist
Oh,
pumping
yeah,
and
on,
high
was it
five.
on 16 at Augusta?
And
Yeah.
at that time, no one was doing that, really.
It was new.
Yeah. And so, look at the guys like Timo Solani, stuff like that. It just brings a whole other aspect of, I don't know what to really call it.
But
just, it brings the whole viewer experience better because
Yeah.
you just see how much they actually care about it and how devoted they are to what they're doing and how happy they are when they really excel at what they're doing.
It'd be interesting to go back to those times and see what the reaction was to something new like that.
yeah.
Because
Because obviously we don't remember because we were just
Yeah.
kids, but I feel like it was not a big. I feel like it was holy
I
shit!
did,
Look at the
yeah,
shot Tiger
yeah.
made. This is awesome.
I-
You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see it in golf. Like Adam Scott sinks that putt to win the Masters in the playoff a few years ago, and the picture of him, like the veins coming around his arm, high fiving his caddy, like it's just,
Yeah.
it's so awesome. And like as
Yeah.
a fan, that's what you want to see. But let's talk about
that's a moment where like I would completely understand that you just won a major.
yeah, the Masters.
And-
That's,
yeah.
but
like,
now let's
that's-
talk about quickly now Cam Newton.
Ooh, okay.
The way he acts, because he's never
He-
accomplished things. Like he's never accomplished
Well,
like those guys.
He's
When we're
won a
talking about,
national championship.
That's true.
you know,
But
in the
so
NFL,
has-
in the
but
NFL,
so
he hasn't
has-
won
yeah.
anything.
At
And
the top level.
what I'm saying is okay. So we've kind of gotten to the point now where we're saying, depending on like if it's warranted at that point in time, like Team Solani breaking that record, that was amazing. Winning the Masters, like the stuff like that at the biggest stage, like as a quarterback in the NFL, if it's in the playoffs or if you're in the Super Bowl, you do something amazing in the Super Bowl. I don't care what you do, it's awesome. But for Cam Newton, the way he was acting this year, and plus, like we've already mentioned, the way you
His
carry
entire
yourself,
team. His
Yeah,
entire
that's
team.
true.
and the way you carry yourself off the ice, off the field, off the playing surface, ties into it. And speaking of cocky assholes, I mean, none of us know him personally, but he looks like a
He
complete
does.
cocky asshole.
And against the Titans, obviously everyone knows that, 10-second, 50-minute dance. They were
10 second, 15 minutes.
that is my time frame. I didn't calculate the exact time.
But it was in there. It was in that range, for sure. Yeah.
It was within that time frame. Anyways, yeah, against the Titans, and he does that whole dance that was clearly choreographed. Like it had to be. He definitely sitting
No,
at his house in front of the mirror practicing it at
they're
home.
obviously
And then-
during practice they're practicing how
I'm
to
pretty
rub it
sure.
in the
I'm
other
pretty
team's
sure at that
face,
moment
yeah.
they like against you're undefeated. You're playing one of the worst teams in the league. You score a rushing touchdown. You're up by like 2 touchdowns, and you do that dance.
Just
He's a sore winner. But it's funny, like when he lost the Super Bowl and walked out, he's a sore winner and he's also a sore loser.
That's just what he is.
Like he doesn't finish his interview and just walks out.
Speaking of sportsmanship, and then now we'll go to the complete polar opposite of Cam Newton is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is, as far as class acts go, he is an absolute class act. He's great for the game. He's great for sports in general. Everything he did, the way he composed himself through his entire career, I don't think he ever slipped up once.
No.
And he won a lot. Had some big moments. He could have been doing that stuff, but he didn't because he just had that professional attitude. He was just a true professional.
He was raised in a different time, more or less.
It's just, and this takes us back to how we started this. Goose Gossage saying, like, there's old school and new school, and I don't know what's better. Like, there's an entertaining.
I think new school's a little bit too sensitive to things, but
we live in an extremely sensitive world.
For
that's
sure,
for
yeah.
sure. Everybody's got an opinion and likes to voice their opinion now.
But
for sure.
if I would honestly pay money to see Peyton Manning do a dab in front of Cam Newton. I think that would be absolutely hilarious.
That would be so funny. He
Because
did after he won
it's
the
just
Super Bowl.
so
He did a
unlike
little
his
dab.
signature. And Peyton Manning is, as you said, just a class act. Other than the fact that he mentions sponsors. Except speeches.
The whole Budweiser thing was a little over the top. Come on.
Maybe he just loves Budweiser.
Yeah,
he loves the money Budweiser gets, probably. But
I have to say this Budweiser is okay because we have a friend that is a rep for Budweiser, so I'll say that.
Okay, just a shameless plug for Budweiser. They don't sponsor us, but we'll give them some.
Yeah. You guys, this is going to cost us a ton of money mentioning the name.
We got a lawsuit in the mail. We're going to be subpoenaed to court.
But he's just a class act, and he's just so respectful of the game, and he understands the game so well. And compared to Cam Newton, again, way over the top, and I think he should learn something from a guy like Peyton Manning.
But it makes you talk about him, though.
Yeah, he's
because
he was talked about quarterback this year.
If he was
but you can also be talked about if you win championships, which he has not done. Peyton Manning,
how young is he?
Yeah,
he's not that young.
But the Panthers have been awful up until last year.
Yeah, mainly because
he had a pretty bad surgery.
We don't want to start rambling on about the NFL standings this year.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to if it was a guy like Russell Wilson, who just went about his business. Had the year that Newton had, I mean, yeah, it's great, but nobody will be talking about it because he's, more of a gentleman. He's more old school. He just
doesn't have sex with his girlfriend.
Hey, they're married now, by the way.
I don't know
they're
about
engaged.
They're engaged. Sorry.
They are gonna have sex soon. It's gonna be really exciting.
Matt, he's excited.
But the reason that you talk about Panthers so much is because they give you something to talk about.
So I guess in conclusion, there's no definitive way to tell what is okay and what's not okay, where you draw the line. It's a gray area. Everyone has their own opinion, and opinions in today's world, everybody's got an opinion now, and it's a little annoying, but that's just the way it is. Every sport's a little bit different. The culture of every sport's a little bit different, but I guess we'll be talking about this for a long time. I mean, Goose Gossage voiced his opinion. And we'll put that to bed for now. And
a bit over the top.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Always an ongoing debate.
Being on the topic of Peyton Manning, going to another class act, Tom Brady. There's been kind of raised the discussion of how good Peyton Manning is. Is he the greatest of all time? And we're not going to get too in depth about that. But if you were to pick between Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, Austin, I'm going to let you start first. I think we all know where this is going as far as an Indianapolis Colts fan. Who do you think is better, Tom Brady or Peyton?
Tom Brady for sure.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding. Okay, it's tough because regular season stats, maybe excluding records, a team record is something that the team controls, but your individual stats are what you control, right? Mm-hmm.
To an extent.
To an extent,
Over 20 years.
And he's. Here's some stats here. It's a long list. I'm not going to read them all. Most passing touchdown, most passing yards, single season touchdown record, most passing yards in the season, most wins including playoffs, most games thrown for 300 yards. There's about 15 more.
That's all Peyton Manning.
All Peyton Manning records that Peyton Manning holds.
Most wins.
Tom Brady doesn't have any.
Most wins. 200. No, he passed Brett Favre. I think
sure?
yeah.
Sure?
No, they're tied.
I think they're tied.
For what?
Most wins,
The Super Bowl
including
Regular season wins.
No, including postseason.
Oh, including postseason.
So
Regular season
yeah,
wins.
so but then you look at his playoff record. Tyler, what was it? I forget. Manning's playoff record.
14 and 13.
Yeah,
or
14-13 compared to Brady's record, which was
22
like
and 9, I think.
22
Something
and
like
9.
that.
But I think what Peyton showed us last year when he won the Super Bowl is you have to be a capable quarterback, maybe even less than capable, and your team can still win the Super Bowl. So just because Brady has won more Super Bowls does not necessarily mean he's the better quarterback. Because what Peyton showed last year when Denver won the Super Bowl, it's not. You don't have to be that good of a quarterback to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Your team has to be good. And the Patriots have had a pretty decent defense, top 10.
They've had a great team for
exactly.
a long time.
Austin,
I
you're
mean,
gonna say,
Brady's great, but I still
Yeah.
have to put Manning there.
So Austin, you're saying Manning takes the cake.
After all that, yeah.
Tyler?
Well, I think Manning's probably the greatest quarterback of all time.
I think
Really, you look at
they're definitely an
We
argument.
could just
there.
end
you
the
look at
podcast
the
now.
stats, and I don't think it's stats alone. I forget. I was watching TSN and I forget who they had on.
You want me to read off some more records, or?
No.
Okay.
Let
I
him
mean,
talk. Let him talk.
I mean, you can if you want, but I mean, everyone can look them up for themselves, really.
That's true.
But
We'll post a link
Anyway.
on Twitter.
I was watching TSN and they were interviewing an ex-teammates of Manning's, and they just
Saturday.
is that who it was?
Jeff
Yeah,
Saturday.
center for
And they
football.
they just said he revolutionized the way that teams in the NFL have to play defense. Because before Manning, I guess Brady, same era, but it was mostly running. There wasn't the superstar quarterbacks that could just throw anywhere on the field and hit the receiver in stride.
Yeah.
Just throw the
Thread the
football.
needle.
Thread the needle.
There you
There you
go.
go. Yeah.
That's the one I was
That's the
looking
football
for.
term.
That's a common one. But anyway, yeah. But up until Manning, no one has ever done it like at that level that forced defenses to change everything about the way they play. And now you look at today's game, it's the defenses that make you win the Super Bowls and give you the great records.
Yeah, he changes the game. Changes
Yeah.
the way the game's played. So you would say
I-
Manning,
that's-
Manning definitely
Yeah,
takes
for
the cake.
sure.
Brendan?
I feel like it's you can't just look at his stats to determine if he's the greatest all time because they're completely different eras. I don't like comparing different eras for determining who's the best all time. Just because, as you said, it was way more of a defensive and a running game earlier on in the football, especially the Super Bowl era. But he's definitely up there. If I had to choose between Peyton Manning and Brady, it would be really tough. I'm not a Brady fan, but I would choose Tom Brady.
Really?
The only reason is he does a lot more with a lot less. Manning has always had a great offense. He's always had great receivers.
Maybe he just made them look great.
He might be the best offensive coordinator of all time. He's changed defenses 100%, but there's a point where he still had those great receivers. Where if you look at this year, Tom Brady literally he might have had the worst offensive line ever in front of him. Ever. I'm not even joking.
Ever.
Ever.
Which
They
high
had a
school kids.
terrible.
It's an exaggeration, but the point is that they didn't have a good O-line.
No.
Can I say I'm pretty sure the Colts have the worst offensive line in football.
Well, that's also because Andrew Luck holds on the ball forever.
No,
and
okay,
gets
no,
sacked.
that's not true.
So we're not talking
Anyway.
about Andrew Luck here.
Great quarterback.
Tom Brady, he does a lot with not very much on the wide receiver core.
He
He
makes
makes great players out of people like Wes Welker, who's not in the league anymore, but he
Well, yeah,
he ended up going
Yeah.
with Peyton Manning and doing really well. But just to see him work his team and just do what he does, not a huge fan, but still, like, he's so impressive, and he does have those couple more championships. And for me personally, that does make a huge difference.
And he's got a smoking hot wife.
That's true.
Who makes tons of money, and that's why he can take such discounts. So he supposedly can make his team better. But
So Brendan picks Brady. I'm gonna have to side on Peyton Manning's side. I think just the way, like I said earlier when we were talking about etiquette in sports, the way he composed himself. Like 18 years in the league, he never slipped up. Like literally everything he did was great. He talks about, and even his speech, the way he finished off was a great speech. The way he ended it off.
Omaha.
I love the Omaha. I think that's hilarious. He said it himself. His preparation, nobody out prepared him. There was guys that were
He was devoted
better
more than anybody.
athletically.
For sure,
He was just
yeah.
so his preparation was just off the charts, and like you said, he changed the way the game played. So, out of the people here, 4 people, 3 votes to Manning. So obviously he takes the cake. If Taylor Dewitt was here,
Taylor said
obviously
he's
he's a Tom Brady, huge,
But-
huge.
I do have one question though. If Brady plays till he's 42, does that make, and he still stays at this level, does that make him better than Peyton Manning?
It depends on
No.
how well he does.
But if he stays at the same level until he's 42, until his contract is up, does that make him better? Would you guys say that he's better
Well,
than
we'll
Peyton
probably
Manning?
still have a podcast and we'll have millions of followers by then, and we'll have that same discussion.
We'll have
But
our-
just
Peyton Manning had that injury.
gotta move on.
No.
Gotta move on so we don't run out of time. Just very quickly, before we move on to the NHL playoff standings, just wanted to touch on quickly. Manning did retire. Brock Osweiler, we were expecting, was going to be the guy in Denver.
He got a lot
Obviously,
of money.
That did not happen. Austin, what's your opinion on how that all played out?
Well, I don't
Well,
want to
first of all, what exactly happened?
he went to Houston,
Well,
right?
he's getting paid $72
yeah,
million.
he's gonna pay. I mean, he turned down. I don't know the
million a
exact
year.
number. Yeah, $12 million from Denver to sign with Houston, and then Mark Sanchez is now going to the Broncos. And obviously, apparently Kaepernick. Apparently, what team is that? I think
Browns.
the Browns are interested. I think one team is willing to give up a 3rd round pick for Kaepernick. I forget the name of the team, but that just goes to show you that like in the NFL today, you don't need, like, they paid Bradford way too much money. You don't need like a star quarterback. You just need it's actually turning into a more defensive game,
yeah, a team
like
game,
or team game, because you just need a quarterback to not turn the ball over, maybe make a play like here or there, and then you'll be good to go.
Well, quarterback play in general, especially this year, it seems
It's
to be
down.
this past year way down
Yeah.
from what it normally is. Quick thing about Osweiler's contract: it's only 37 million guaranteed, but that is still more than what
What's the average salary per year? You can't do the math in your head.
I can't do the math in my head.
How many
But
years is
4.
4 years.
How much money? No, just how much money?
18 million a year.
Yeah, but
No.
what's the
No,
what's the
well,
amount?
We're not
70
mathematicians here. But
What are we talking about? What happened?
72 million
Yeah,
over 4
18.
years.
It's 18. Yeah.
But Brock Osweiler and now the Texans are going to beat out the Colts and win that division again. It's going to be super.
I'm worried
Super
because
exciting.
they have Lamar Miller now too.
Yes, Lamar Miller. Great free agency pickups for them. But going to the Browns for a sec, for some reason, Kaepernick is now interested. They just released Johnny Manziel, so we might be able to go over there. Which I don't know why anybody would ever want to go to Cleveland. And
They
sadly
need-
enough,
they
I'm
need to
somewhat
draft-
especially now
They
that
need to
Johnny
draft a
football's
quarterback.
not living it up
Yeah.
in Cleveland anymore.
Like-
What is there to do that's fun now that Johnny's
Well, it would be
gone?
interesting to see if
corn
Kaepernick
grow.
leaves. If Kaepernick leaves San Francisco and to go to Cleveland, would Johnny Manziel go to San Francisco with Chip Kelly? Because Chip Kelly wanted him when he was at
Yeah.
Oregon, which would be like the craziest swap in.
Oh, for sure.
Recent
It was
history.
the most worthless swap in free agent history.
Yeah, like,
Well-
Johnny Manziel has some problems.
Well, we will see how that all plays out in the near future, but we're running out
Closer,
of time.
closer
so-
to the season, we'll discuss
yeah,
it.
we'll
more.
talk about that later. Next topic we're going to talk about here, moving from the football field to the hockey rink. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are starting to get pretty close. Teams have about roughly 10 to 15 games left in the regular season. The push for the playoffs is on. We're going to talk about who we think's in, who we think's out, and at the end we'll give our predictions on who we think's going to go all the way. Right now, as it stands in the East, Pittsburgh and Detroit are holding the wild card standings, wild card positions. And then in the West, it's Nashville and Colorado. In the West, Minnesota and Vancouver, kind of there. Vancouver's a long shot. Minnesota's really the only team that has a chance. And in the East, Philadelphia, Carolina, and New Jersey also kind of a long shot at this point. First things first, no Canadian teams really have a chance at this point.
No.
Unfortunately, there's not going to be one Canadian team in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
if Price comes back, I mean,
No,
There's not enough time. They don't have enough time.
They don't have
Okay,
time.
Montreal
7
is-
points out, you don't think so? Because Price is close.
He's
How
supposed
many
to return
injuries?
next week.
How many injuries does?
And they're only 7
Montreal
points out.
Well, and PK Subban going down last night
Yeah.
with the.
Yeah, but
injury.
he's fine.
That's just
He's
precaution, obviously.
But anyways, going back to playoffs, it's extremely exciting this year because there's two divisions in the West that have that are all within a couple points of each other. For the Central Division, the leaders are St. Louis right now with 89 points. Chicago is 88. Dallas is 88 as well. And then Nashville, a little bit far behind, but 7 points behind third place. And then also the Pacific Division, leaders are Los Angeles Kings with 84, 83 for Anaheim, and then 80 for San Jose with a game in hand on Los Angeles.
Yeah, you know, that actually is really exciting. And just the opposite end of that, probably the least exciting division is the Metropolitan Division because Washington is just dominating that whole division. Dominating the whole league.
If you listen to our last podcast, obviously there's a serious Washington Capitals fan here, and you can't really blame them. What they're doing this year is absolutely incredible.
Can we just talk about them a bit more?
Well, we'll talk about them quickly right now. They have 49 wins with 15 games left, and the way that they've been playing, it's not that far of a stretch to say that they could finish with 60 wins, which has got to be up there with one of the best seasons of all time.
I'm actually really worried. 13 of the past 15 games, they've given up the first goal, but they're like 10-4-1 in those games. So
yeah,
And
you know,
pretty
there's
incredible.
a saying in hockey is good teams find a way to win, and they're clearly finding ways to win hockey games night in and night out. So you got to tip.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to tip your cap, and that's
Especially on their West Coast swing when they played Anaheim and LA. Was it back-to-back?
Anaheim had just won 11 in a row, and they went,
Yeah.
and then they played in Los Angeles the next night or two nights later. And they were down 3-0 going into the third, and they battled back to get a point. So
but
the things they're doing is actually incredible. They're
back to what you said about who I think is going to actually make the postseason. For the wild card spot. Honestly, I honestly think Philadelphia can do it. Like Claude Giroux, Voracek are picking it up.
And then their last 10 games, 7-2
I feel
and
like a dumbass because I kind of trashed Philadelphia last time we talked, saying they were a terrible team. But ever since I've done that, in their last 10 games, they're 7-2-1.
They've turned it around. Yeah, they definitely have.
I personally don't think they're gonna get in. I think Detroit will.
You think in the East it'll be
I
Detroit?
think it will be as it stands in
Pittsburgh,
the East.
Detroit. I just hope Detroit doesn't make it. Just end that streak.
I hope Detroit makes it.
Oh,
Because
you kidding me? On that side? Oh,
I love
what is
records.
that?
I love
Get
records
out.
so much.
That is an incredible record. Why would you want that to fall apart?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
is
like
just
the greatest
Detroit is just
record
a
in sports
team that-
history.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It's
And I hope they play.
I'll edit that part out.
I hope they. I hope they play Washington in the first round, and Peter Mrazek stands on his head, and again Washington
Howard.
goes out in the first. Jimmy
Now,
Howard's done.
moving over to the Western Conference, as it stands right now, Minnesota really the only team that's on the outside looking in that really has a chance. You look down that terrible Canadian Western Conference, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton,
Last
Winnipeg.
four.
Basically an embarrassment to the league. Winnipeg clearly,
Tank.
exciting. They might get the first overall pick.
They're
Awesome.
currently last in the Western Conference, but they do have 3 games in hand on Edmonton, and they're only 2 points back.
Yeah.
So we're pretty terrible, but not.
We don't want to talk about the Jets today because it'll just get frustrating at how bad they are. My opinion in the Western Conference, you know what? Minnesota at the start of the year looked really strong, and from what I saw them, I thought that they were potentially even a contender. But now, just the way they've been playing, they fell apart in the middle of the season. But I don't think they're gonna be there. That's my opinion. San Jose, the way they're playing, I think they're a team to watch.
But they did fire the head coach and hire and ever since they hired their new one, they've actually been on a pretty good run. And that just goes to show you. I know that's actually probably been like a long time ago when Pittsburgh fired their coach and hired Dan Bilesma. They were near the bottom of the league and they actually ended up making the playoffs. Like switching your coach mid-season really helps, and it's actually really helping Minnesota right now. And
It can. They're only 5-5 in their last 10, though.
Okay, but
in the Western Conference division leaders, the teams that will win the division, I think, will be Chicago, and I think Anaheim will win. The teams that will make it for the wild card, I think, will be Nashville, Colorado, and then obviously going to the East, division leaders. The people that will win the division will be Washington, obviously, because they're almost. I think they might have clinched it already.
they're close. They have to.
Because they're almost 20 points up on the next closest team, and then I think actually Florida will clinch the Atlantic Division. And then Pittsburgh and Detroit are my picks for wild card teams.
Who do you think? That's your picks, obviously, for standings wise. But who do you think when we get to the big dance? Who's going to be there? Stanley Cup final prediction. Who do you think?
I think it's going to be New York Rangers versus the Anaheim Ducks in the finals. And I think the Anaheim Ducks will win in 6 games.
All right.
Wow. It will be extremely exciting.
Wow. Right, Tyler, your predictions?
I think the winner of the second and third place games in the first round, or second and third place teams in the Pacific Division, so whether it's Anaheim, LA, San Jose, whoever wins that 2-3 game in that division is going to go to the Stanley Cup.
I like that angle, because that's going to be an
absolute... You think I'm getting specific with the amount of games?
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. I
like
think
that.
Whoever wins that series is going to win the Stanley Cup.
That's going to be a dogfight. It doesn't matter who they play. That they're going to have coming out of that series. I agree. That's a good prediction.
That's what
any three of those teams, any combination of those two teams out of that 3 is going to be.
I hope San Jose wins.
I really don't,
because they've been duds for so
your
long.
Stanley Cup final prediction, Tyler?
I actually might go with the Rangers as well.
Really?
So
Eric Stahl.
I would say
20 of 22 on faceoffs the other night. Absolutely incredible.
I think LA is going to finish second in the Pacific. I think they're going to beat San Jose, and then they will go on to play the Rangers in the finals again.
So Tyler's a Los Angeles Kings fan.
To win the cup.
This is the best LA Kings team that they have ever had. And they've won 2 cups with a team that was...
That's a bold statement there, Con.
Yeah,
They are.
Let's see how it plays out. Austin,
I mean,
your predictions?
Washington's going to win the cup.
It doesn't even matter who they play, hey? It doesn't even matter. They don't have an opponent. They're going to win.
Washington's going to win the cup.
All right.
Who are they going to play?
Washington's going to win the cup.
All right, so Austin thinks that Washington's going to win the cup.
Wait, who's going to win the cup?
Brendan and Tyler just not even giving Washington a chance.
You idiots.
My predictions for the Stanley Cup final, I think I'm taking the odds on this one, like the best odds out there. I'm going to say it's going to be Chicago against Washington. Chicago made some pretty sweet pickups at the deadline.
Balls.
They made some pretty sweet pickups, and I like Chicago. Chicago's fun to watch. They're forming like a dynasty at this point in time. I think another year, this could be another year that they win. I think it's going to be Washington, Chicago, and just because I really want this to happen, I'm picking Washington to win the cup because I think they deserve to win a cup.
If I was actually being serious, I would have picked that Washington, Chicago as well.
Yeah.
At this point in time, you have to accept that either Chicago or LA is going to win every Stanley Cup for the next couple of years.
Now, I think one last thing we should do before we finish up here, around the room, one dark horse that you think has a chance if they sneak into the playoffs or as a late seed that can make some noise. Brendan?
I think Pittsburgh, if they get on a roll, they're scoring now. Crosby's scoring a ton. And if Fleury cannot be a complete dud, they would actually have a chance.
Yeah. Tyler?
Not really a dark horse, but Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I think they have the same team that they've had for the last few years. They're growing together. So didn't they lose in the finals last year?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so Ben Bishop can stand on his head like he has. I think they got a chance.
You know, I was actually... I have no one else to pick, but I was actually going to say Tampa Bay as well.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm actually shocked that Ben Bishop was no one even mentioned him for Vezina Trophy. He's pretty sure he's top 5 in every category.
I don't know.
No one even mentioned.
I know. Back that up.
And no one even mentioned Ben Bishop as Vezina. Like he honestly might win. And the triplets line.
Twins.
With not twins, triplet line with like Palat has not been playing well. Johnson Khrushchev have been playing okay. Like once they pick it up, and like Ben Bishop plays the same way, like I think they have a very good chance.
I think my pick, and I don't think this is necessarily a dark horse because they've recently became first place in the Atlantic, but Boston Bruins have done some things this year that I don't think anyone thought they were going to do, and no one's really talking about them.
No,
they're not really a team that... Brad Marchand is having a career year over there. He
slowing down as a late, and he's hurt right now. I think.
He has put that team on his back, honestly. He did that. He had that stupid suspension that he had right before the Winter Classic.
What a stupid penalty he took there.
Just
like,
classic Brad.
Yeah.
I never liked Brad Marchand. I lost a lot of respect for him for a lot of things he did. But then the way he handled that situation by saying it was his fault, he let his teammates down, and then he comes back from that and just goes on a tear. The team no one was talking about, didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, is now in first place. They've made some trades at the deadline, picking up Lyles and Stepniak, who aren't powerhouses, but they're veteran
Role
guys.
players.
that are in
Stepniak was
there.
leading
Stepniak
New
came to
Jersey.
Winnipeg last year and was arguably one of our best forwards in the playoffs, so he knows how to elevate in the playoffs. Zdeno Chara on the back end, good goaltending. I think that they're a team that no one's really talking about, but could definitely, they've been to the dance before, they know what they're doing.
Start of the year, I think they're supposed to be about second last, I guess, in the East.
Yeah.
Their preseason rankings, they're just they
Yeah.
I
traded
agree
their
with you,
core.
Adam. Quick thing on Ben Bishop. He's currently leading the league in goals against average, and he's 4th in the league
There you
in
go.
save percentage.
And he was not even mentioned last the week.
2.06 for goals against and
Still lots of season left for that.
926 save percentage.
Yeah.
I agree,
There's
but he's definitely up there.
6 goalies that can still win the Vezina.
That's
Yeah.
all, we're out of time. That's all the time I have for today. Just any final comments? We'll go around the room. Brendan, do you have any final comments you want to add?
Mike McEwen is going to win the Brier.
Okay, I hope you're right, because I don't want any of the other teams to win. Tyler?
Graham Gillette shot 500 today in the Valspar Championship or
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
Nice.
Yeah,
I don't-
and he's
I don't know.
second.
Tied for second.
He's a
you
shot
know,
back. 2 shots back.
he's got probably the best beard I've ever seen on a man right now. Not gonna lie, it's
Yeah.
pretty classic. Yeah, I mean,
Pretty
yeah.
good.
I don't know. That's
Awesome.
about it.
Awesome.
I just have something to point out. What you mentioned about Stepniak. If you're a rebuilding team, sign Stepniak into a cheap contract in the offseason because you could trade him at the deadline for like a second round pick.
Because he's going to put up
'Cause
numbers.
he's done that. I'm pretty sure didn't Winnipeg.
done it a few times,
Didn't Winnipeg
He's
trade
done
it
it
like a
6 times
third?
in his career.
Yeah, like so
It's
sign.
like
his ninth
So
team now.
if any NHL general managers are listening, sign Stepniak in the offseason. Trade him at the deadline. You will get a second round pick for him.
All right, well, that's all the time that we have today. I don't have any final comments. Like, I can't think of
I will
anything.
add a final comment.
Okay.
Good luck to Team Canada, men's and women's, Matt Dunstone, Mary Faye at World Junior Curling Championships. Finals are this Sunday, and hopefully they're both in it.
All right.
Let's keep saving lives out there. You know?
Yeah, we don't want to get into that,
No.
but look up curling players save lives at the World Juniors. Pretty funny story. Anyways, that's all the time we have. Thanks for listening to Deadbeat Sports Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, our YouTube channel, and our SoundCloud channel.
All right.